far as Nigel Bradham, plenty of experience. What was the vision when you guys brought him in, and I mean, how quickly can he get acclimated within this defense? Do you feel?
Well, the vision really was, that Mike Sam player, kind of a flex position guy that's going to allow us to do some different things. With the environment that we're in, you got to have guys being ready to play multiple positions, and an experienced football player, a Super Bowl winner at Mike linebacker, who's has the experience, has the confidence, really just adds value to the room overall. And he's done a good job. Really, right now, we're just fighting through learning a new language, right? Because he knows football. All of a sudden he may miss a call here or there, right? Because it's new to him. But then all of a sudden the offense puts him in a bind from a coverage standpoint. And just naturally he makes an adjustment that we don't even have to coach, right? Because he's experienced, he knows what they're trying to challenge him, and then he's able to make the play for us. So, man, he's been a good add to the room, but he's right there in the mix in the competition that we're trying to figure out where people fall into place.
Next question's from Luke Johnson. Luke.
Michael, I'm just curious what your early impressions are of Joe Bocek since, now that you've gotten a chance to work with him.
I think Joe, I love Joe. He is so damn smart. He could play all three positions for us, and that's without even repping at Sam linebacker. He's just such a veteran linebacker, inside linebacker, meaning that this guy's been playing Mike linebacker probably since he was 9 years old, right? So there's a lot of things that carry over. Man, he's been really clean with the adjustments. We've thrown him in at will. We've even joked about throwing him in at Sam just because of his intelligence and being able to execute. So really excited about him. He's a polished player, right? He moves really well. He's precise. And so, man, we're just excited to figure out exactly what his role is going to be. But what's so encouraging, and again, in this environment, you need people that can go out there and execute for you. We've got a guy right now that can really learn all three positions like some of our other older veterans. And that's an exciting deal. Hopefully he works it out with special teams and we get him on the bus.
I don't know if you had any role in bringing him in, but he seemed like a pretty productive player in college, and he was just kind of out there as an undrafted guy. What was the I guess process in like getting after him?
So we evaluate a lot of guys that may not get drafted kind of in the back half of the draft, and we always have a lot of times there's guys that fall that we have draftable grades on. But really, the credit goes to Jeff Ireland on Joe. I can't say that I went out of my way to target him. He was in our bundle, and Jeff did an outstanding job making sure that we could secure him in our group. And sure enough, Jeff snails with this stuff as far as bringing in guys with solid makeups, and he didn't miss a beat with Joe.
Next question's from Nick Underhill. Nick.
Not to go back-to-back process questions on you, but I was curious about the process of, scouting Bond and coming up with the vision of playing him, in space when most of the stuff was off the edge.
Yeah, so when you look at Zach, obviously the off-the-edge stuff, the pass rush values is all over the film. The ability to play Sam linebacker on the ball with heavy hands, set an edge, run vertical with the tight end, be able to play in curl flat. Well, then all of a sudden you start seeing him do drills, or you start seeing him in space and you see his movement ability, right? And then you get to see him at the Senior Bowl, and he did a really good job there without really any coaching. You just put him in, he was plug and play inside linebacker, and he did some really good things there. So, man, for me, the vision was very clear with this player, man. He's a Sam linebacker that's going to work into becoming a good Mike linebacker in the NFL.
Would that have came without seeing the drills and, the Senior Bowl practices and all that?
You got to dig a little deeper. I would have said it was harder, but I think we saw a lot of it, Nick, on film when he's out in space, because he did drop in coverage. And you just gotta put away everything else and just really focus on, look at his movement skills. And once you evaluate his movement skills, now you're gonna have to diagnose, okay, what can this guy do in a different position?
Is that a challenge for you, like being new in this role, having a guy that's kind of raw, or how's that been for you?
Well, I wouldn't call it. I mean, it is a challenge. I think it'd be a challenge for everyone. All right. But what it is it's exciting because, look, yep. Mike Nolan texted me right after we drafted this guy, and he goes, look, he's got no bad habits at inside linebacker. Make him yours. I mean, it's perfect, right? So everything we teach him between Will Hoyt and myself, man, this guy, it just soaks it in. And so, look, there's growing pains. I've mentioned that before, but that's expected. And his growth already this far in camp has been really exciting and really encouraging. And I think he's going to be in really good shape for us.
Next question's from Amos Morale. Amos?
Coach, over the summer, you mentioned Demario really wanting to improve and, despite the fact that he's having, Pro Bowl caliber seasons, have you been able to see sort of the results of the work he's put in? And if so, what are some of the areas you've seen him kind of excel?
Well, I'll say this. I know y'all haven't been at practice as much as you normally are. And he, he's missed some reps here and there. We don't need to see him. We know what he is, but damn it, he's moving fast. He is moving so good right now. It's so exciting to watch him move around, and he's so strong, and he hasn't missed a beat. And truly, I think he would say this for himself. He is he's a notch above where he was from movement, right? From his athletic ability. He feels lighter on his feet and just as powerful. And so just from an athletic standpoint, I think he's already done that on his own. He really invested this offseason working on that. But from a football standpoint, he's asking, we're able to dive into even deeper questions, and he's figuring out really everything around him even more than he had before. And look, we're on a walkthrough, and he's like, hey, Hodge, I kind of fit it like this way just because I wanted to make sure I felt where the safety's going to run down. That Excel, that Calc 2 kind of math that he's working on right there is really fun to be around, and people feed off that in the room.
Next one's from Nick Underhill. Nick?
Yeah, I'm just curious, as a coach, how would you describe your coaching style, and just who've been, some of your influences, in forming the way you go about your job?
Man, that goes back, you go back to my senior year at A&M. Dat Wynn was my position coach, and I was the sole senior in the room, and he was able to really start helping me learn outside of, hey, this is your gap. All right, let's start looking at the offense. Let's start figuring out what to predict. And that helped me my senior year going into it. So he was a big influence on me. And I also learned from him and several other guys. The strength coach at A&M has a huge influence on me as well. These guys didn't have it wasn't always barking, right? Because all of a sudden that becomes white noise. So I find myself truly as a teacher. I think I've mentioned this before, but if I didn't do this, I could legitimately find myself as a professor at some university, right? Because I just enjoy the teaching and finding ways to connect with you versus Amos, right? Because y'all are going to learn different. If I say the word trust, you may interpret it differently because of your upbringing, different than Amos may, right? So those types of things, that challenge of teaching to each guy in the room to make sure they're out there understanding the same message, right, is really important to me.